Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Satadine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Although we are not able to go to Vrindavan during this pandemic period, by virtue of Yukta Vairagya principle being nicely organized, we can visit Vrindavan virtually, and this is part 4 of a visit specifically to Govardhana Hill. There's a 9-year-old girl in the Potomac congregation. When I asked her what's her favorite pastime of Krishna, she said, Putana. Krishna's killing Putana. So for that following visit, we spent maybe 3 weeks discussing the Putana pastime dedicated to Nina. And then Nina said, what's your favorite pastime? And I said, Krishna's lifting Govardhana Hill. And she said, can you speak about that too? So I said, you have to tune in. We're going to be speaking about that to the devotees in Portland and Phoenix. So I don't know if she's listening, but I hope so. And otherwise she can view the recordings of this visit to Govardhan. We narrated already the pastime of Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill, but obviously there's much more to the glories of Govardhan than Krishna's lifting of Govardhan Hill. We've heard many, many things. And now we're at the concluding stage of our Govardhan Parikrama. And during the earlier session this morning, there was a question about where Rasa Leela was performed, and the answer was there was multiple places, and 3 were named. During the spring pastime in the southern end of Govardhan Hill, a Rasa Stali place. That's a well-known place. Another, of course, is by Vangshivat in the now downtown Vrindavan by the side of the river Jamuna. And Nidhivan was also mentioned. That's a third. Nidhivan is a large walled-in area very near the Radharaman temple. Some of you, of course, have been there, at least to the Radharaman temple, and that big boundary wall that's, as you're approaching Radharaman, that's Nidhivan. And then the other that I couldn't remember, but here it is, it's Sevakunj. Sevakunj is another section of Vrindavan. Here's a boundary wall surrounding Sevakunj. That's where the picture is taken, from the top of that boundary wall. And the inside looks as you see inside. This is what remains of the Sevakunj area. The understanding that I have is it was a very large tract of land with similar trees, and where the current Radha Damodar temple, which was given by Rupa Goswami for Jiva Goswami to serve and manage, is part of that Sevakunj area. It was a much larger area than what it is today. So this is just in response to the morning discussion about different areas, and it's not restricted. Other areas may also easily have been places where Krishna performed his rasa dance. So we're going to begin, as we indicated, a very nice set of prayers, 8 prayers, Ashtakam, composed by Rupa Goswami to glorify Govardhana. And if you notice carefully, 3 things. There's a certain meter, and this certain meter is the meter of an intoxicated peacock. That's the name. And you'll find that phrase right within the first line. Poetically, Rupa Goswami has included the mad peacock meter right within the first line of his Ashtakam. And listen carefully to the melody at the end. We'll send you a link so you'll have a copy of this song that we're about to have you participate in. You can sing along or just listen. A second is Rupa Goswami has great devotion, of course, for Krishna. He is a Raga Nuga Bhakta. He's teaching Raga Nuga Bhakti, and he sees Govardhana as one of the Ragatmikas, chief Ragatmikas, the bests of the Ragatmikas for following the path of spontaneous devotion, seeing Govardhana not just as Krishna himself, but as a very benevolent devotee of Krishna who is serving Krishna in Sakya Rasa. We discussed that in one of the earlier classes also, because that question arose. Listen to the mood, feel the poetry, and as well as the beauty of his deep, deep, deep appreciation. And the refrain is requesting Govardhana to fulfill all his desires. And listen carefully and you'll find out what that desire is. It's in the last of the Ashtakam. So we'll begin the recording. Straight up and down. Yeah.
गोविन्दस्य तंसितवंशी क्वलितोद्यले लास्योत्कण्ठामत्तमयूर व्रजवेता राधाकुन्दो तुङ्गतरङ्गाङ्कुरिताङ्ग प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्. O Govardhana, surrounded by hosts of peacocks intoxicated by the desire to dance that is arising due to the enchanting melodies of the Vamsi flute, which decorates the beautiful face of Govinda. O Govardhana, whose limbs display horripilations of joy in the form of sprouts that grow due to the Oh, Govardhana, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires. अस्योत्कर्षाद् विस्मितदीभिर्व्रजदेवी वृन्दैर्वयं वर्णितमास्ते हरिदास्यं चित्रैर्युञ्जं सद्युतिपुञ्जे अखिलाशां प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्. You are the one whose excellence caused the astonished groups of gopis to describe you as Haridasa Varya, the greatest among servants of Hari. as you illuminate all directions by your various clusters of amazing light emanating from the transcendental moonstones, sapphires, rubies, etc. on your surface. Oh Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
Notice Govardhana in the upper right.
विन्दद्भिर्यो मन्दिरतां कन्दरवृन्दै कन्दैश्चेन्दोर्बन्धुभिरानन्दयतीशम् वैदुर्याभे निर्जरतो येऽपि सोऽयम् प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्.
You are the one who delights the Supreme Lord through various caves that resemble jewel-bedecked temple sanctums, as well as through your khanda, elephant foot yam, your water lilies, and also through the sparkling, clean, dark-hued waters of your waterfalls. Oh, Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
शश्वद्विश्वालङ्करणालङ्कृतिमेध्यै प्रेम्नाधौ ते धातुभिरुद्दीपितसानो नित्याक्रन्दत्कन्दरवेणु ध्वनिहर्षात् प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्.
Oh, Govardhan, whose plateaus are glowing due to your various minerals, like natural red arsenic, oxides of various colors, etc., thoroughly washed by a pure love, which constantly act as pure ornaments for Hari, the ornament of the entire universe. Oh, Govardhan, whose caves always appear to sing out loudly due to the joyous sounds made by hollow bamboos. Oh, Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
प्राज्याराजिर्यस्य विराजत्युपलानां कृष्णेनासौ सन्ततमध्यासितमध्या सोऽयं बन्धुर्बन्धुरधर्म सुरभीणां प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्.
You are the one whose great multitudes of flat stones appear splendid when they're constantly used by Krishna as places for sitting. You are the friend of all the cows, and thus your nature is very sweet. Oh, Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
निर्दुन्वान सम्भृतिहेतुं धनवृन्दं निर्यापितवान् प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्.
Oh, Govardhan, you are the one who certainly overpowered the destruction causing hosts of clouds. Thus, having conquered the unconquerable Indra, you are the one who calmed down the burning enmity of your mountain relatives. Oh, Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
बिभ्राणोऽयं श्रीभुजदण्डोपरिभर्तुस् छत्रीभावं नामयतार्थं स्वमकार्षीत् कृष्णोपज्ञं यस्य मकस्तिष्ठति सोऽयं प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्.
You are the one who gave true meaning to your own name as you accepted the role of an umbrella hanging over the beautiful arm of your Lord Giridhari. You are the one whose worship is established directly by Krishna's revelation. O Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
गान्धर्वाय केलिकलाबान्धवकुल्ये क्षुण्णैस्तस्य कङ्कणहारै प्रयताङ्ग रासक्रीडामण्डितयोपत्यकयाढ्या प्रत्याशां मे त्वं कुरु गोवर्धनपूर्णाम्.
Oh, dear friend of Gandharva Radha, assisting her in the kunjas, forest bowers, in her love sports. Oh, Govardhan, whose limbs are decorated with her fallen ornaments like bracelets and garlands. Oh, Govardhan, equipped with surrounding flat areas decorated with the signs of Rasalila. Oh, Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
अदृश्यानि शेखरपद्याष्टकमेतत् कृष्णाम्बोध प्रेष्ठतटेद्यस्तव देहि प्रेमानन्दं तुन्दिलयं क्षिप्रममन्दम् अन्हर्षेण स्वीकुरुतां ते हृदयेश.
Oh, crest jewel among all mountains. Oh, mountain, dear to the dark cloud-hued Krishna. May the Lord of your heart, Krishna, happily accept the living entity who studies these 8 prayers dedicated to you, while quickly nourishing his boundless joy of prema. Oh, Govardhan, please arrange the fulfillment of my desires.
Okay, so that's Govardhanastakam by Rupa Goswami. And now we're going to continue where we left off from the morning class. Those of you that were with us, you'll recognize the white area is Govardhan town. Those the rooftops of buildings there. And in the area just above the red line, that dark Kund, that's the Saki Stali Kund, where Chandravali and her associates were residing around that area. And the line going over towards the right is showing the direction we're going to move in. We're heading in a northerly direction. On our map, it's from left to right, but as far as the compass is concerned, it's a northerly direction on the western side of Govardhan Hill. There's Govardhan Hill. The dark area just below where the red line stops, that's Manasi Ganga, and we're going to continue going in that same direction. The area that just got highlighted in blue, that's the visible area of Govardhan Hill. And this is showing that visible area of Govardhan Hill to our right as you're moving forward. And there's some small temples, not formal temples per se, but honoring different personalities in those temples. Shiva and Parvati, and the lion carrier and the bull carrier of them. Here's a close-up. You'll see these from the roadside as you're moving along. There's Durga and her lioness carrier. Panchimukhi Lord Shiva, very tall deity, similar, really, really big as Hanuman deity. Again, Panchamukhi Hanuman. And in his left hand, he has a big club. Here's a close-up of that big club. You wouldn't want to get in the way of that big club. But if you look carefully in the next photograph, it shows he's laying that club on somebody's head, and it probably hurts. Don't get in the way of Hanuman's club, is the message here. And that's along the roadside. Of course, there's Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill, with some of the elders also assisting Krishna to lift Govardhan Hill. And an image of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu riding on the back of Garuda. And Lord Vishnu, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, being massaged by Goddess Lakshmi. For some reason, she's not massaging his feet, she's massaging his lower legs. as you see here. So this is similar style along the way of different temples honoring personalities in relation to the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Lord. On the left side where people are walking, that's where commonly people walk because it's soft sand, natural way for Vrindavan. I remember when that paved road was made, it was really torture walking on the paved road. My feet were totally ripped up. But when it got paved, and it's too hot to walk on anyways, but cars travel on that and other kinds of transportation of goods move along that path. Rickshaw people move along that paved road. Let's see if they change it in the future and widen the walking place, because most people like to walk on that walking place, not on the paved road. But this is a typical scene. Not terribly busy in Kartik month. It's far more busy. More people walking. So that red line shows where we're walking, and we're heading for Uddhavakund. This is an aerial picture of Uddhavakund. The green, just right next to the sign Uddhavakund, that's the Kund itself, with little extensions into the Kund. The front area along the roadside, that's where the temple is. And we're going to pay a visit shortly. As you're approaching, that's what the building looks like, the temple itself. And let's go inside. In the back of the temple, this is the Kund itself, Uddhavakund. And it marks the place where, of course, when Uddhava came, according to the scriptures, Uddhava didn't come right away to Uddhavakund. He went first to see Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda, Bhagavatam explains, and he was astonished at what he experienced meeting them for the first time. And then in this painting, you see in the very back, wearing a yellow dhoti, having a complexion like Krishna's, even looking like Krishna, is Uddhava reading the letter from Uddhava to the gopis. And in the painting, you can't see so well, but there's a bumblebee, and Radharani's having her conversation with the bumblebee. The bumblebee is up by her head, even a little bit above her head by that flower. And she's having this mad discussion with the bumblebee. I'm going to read a little bit because it's nice. From Uddhava Sandesh. This is not, the literal translation of Krishna's message to the gopis, but it's a nice rendering. Oh girl, Srimati Radharani, devoured by the sufferings in your heart. Oh girl, now rolling about on the ground in the forest where we once enjoyed pastimes. Soon I will suddenly and unexpectedly walk on the pathway of your eyes. The flute placed to my mouth, and my limbs decorated with designs drawn in mineral colors. With waves of bliss, I will wash away all your sufferings. In this secluded place, I will make you blossom with happiness. Now that's Uddhava's message to the gopis and specifically to Radharani. But as we know very well, Radharani wasn't paying at all any attention to Uddhava. Rather, she was paying complete attention to the bumblebee and having some very chastising words to speak to the bumblebee. Speaking in reprimanding ways. You're just like your master. You bumblebees, you land on a flower, take as much honey and nectar as you like, and immediately leave and go to the next flower, to the next flower. Krishna is like that too. He gives his association, takes what nectar he wants, and then goes away. So you're just like your master. You're an unreliable servant of an unreliable. She speaks scolding weight. Go away. I don't want anything to do with you. Get out of here. And then when the bumblebee disappears, she goes mad. Oh, don't take that message to Krishna. I know who he is, but I'm so deeply attached to him. So she's just carrying on in this talk of madness, divya unmada, madness. And of course, we know that Uddhava is completely amazed by the love of the residents of Vrindavan, each of them in their different rasas. So he decides to stay with the gopis and in Vrindavan for 3 months. He was sent to carry a message, and he stayed for 3 months. His intention, and was successful, was to pacify their hearts. And now we're going to hear a little bit further. After Uddhava went back and reported to Krishna what had transpired, his heart was filled with affection for the residents of Vrindavan. And when Krishna did not return to Vrindavan in a timely manner, he was very, very, very concerned for their welfare. Eventually, when Krishna left this world in Dwarka, his pastimes were completed. We know a nice description that Arjuna happened to be nearby at that time. Arjuna accompanied the 16,000 queens all the way from Dwarka back to Hastinapur because everyone in Dwarka had disappeared. There was no protection for them, so he arranged for them to come to Hastinapur. And eventually from Hastinapur, which is where Maharaj Parikshit was ruling, he had established Vajranabha as the king, underneath him as the emperor, the king of Mathura. So the 16,000 queens resided in his palace, Vajranabha's palace. And periodically Vajranabha would go to Vrindavan to pay his respects to the associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. Amongst the queens of Krishna, Kalindi was the one who was not disturbed. Now, what I'm going to describe is found in Padma Purana, the Bhagavad Mahatmya section, chapter 3. It's so nice. I think I'm just going to read. Well, I'll paraphrase first. Kalindi was noticed by Vajranabha. The other queens are terribly disturbed, feelings of separation from Krishna, but Kalindi is not at all disturbed. So she was approached to ask, what keeps your composure so calm? From Padma Purana, Kalindi said, Srimati Radharani is practically the soul of our beloved husband, Sri Krishna. I constantly remember her and engage in her service, dedicating whatever I do at her lotus feet, and therefore no suffering can touch me. All of you are also intimately connected with her. Many of you are even expansions of her, but somehow, in separation from Krishna, you have forgotten this fact, and this forgetfulness has caused the pain you're feeling. A similar thing happened when Krishna left Vrindavan. The gopis became overwhelmed with their feelings of separation from Krishna, when actually they were not really separated from him at all. Theirs was a type of reflection of separation. And when Uddhava came and consoled them, their pain was extinguished. So now, if you're able to get Uddhava's association, you'll also rise above these feelings and become absorbed in the happiness of eternal pastimes with our beloved Lord Krishna. That was Kalindi's words from Padma Purana. So the queens were very enthusiastic. Haribol! How are we going to get Uddhava's association? And Kalindi explained, being desirous of taking shelter of the dust of Braja, Uddhava is now residing near Govardhana hill in the form of the grass and shrubs. Let us go to that place near Kusum Sarovar with Vajranabha and have a great festival of Sankirtan there, chanting the holy names of Krishna, accompanied by mridangas, kartals, and other musical instruments. Now, I don't know if that's a literal translation from Padma Purana. In this way, as our festival expands, Uddhava will certainly appear in his personal form, and by his mercy, all your desires will be fulfilled. So they all shouted, Haribol, let's go. Brajranab went, accompanying the queens. Kalindi went along with the queens. Maharaj Parikshit went along with the whole group. And just behind Kusum Sarovar, we'll see shortly, just behind Uddhava Kund is Kusum Sarovar. They had a big festival, Sankirtan festival. And as they were singing loudly, Krishna, who enjoys pastimes with his devotees and Radharani, the whole situation was transformed. In front of their eyes, from amidst the grass, shrubs and vines, Sri Uddhava made his appearance, looking remarkably like Lord Krishna, with his bluish complexion and golden colored clothes, decorated with a beautiful garland of forest flowers. As he emerged, the beauty of the festival overflowed, just like when moonshine falls on crystal. Everyone forgot about everything else and simply fell at his lotus feet, crying tears of ecstasy. When the kirtan was completed, Uddhava then gave the following instructions to the queens. This is the Mahatmya section of Padma Purana, Bhagavad Mahatmya section. He advised them, I was able to pacify the gopis by the same message as is found in Srimad Bhagavatam. Whenever and wherever the devotees hears Bhagavad Gita and recites the book Bhagavata at that time and at that place, Lord Krishna personally appears. Whenever a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam or even a half verse is recited, Lord Krishna and his beloved gopis manifest there. So Prabhu, read your Bhagavatam. Uddhava continued, although Krishna eternally enjoys pastimes in Vrindavan, his beloved gopis were afflicted by feelings of separation. Therefore, he sent me to impart the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam to them. The gopis of Braja were thus freed from the pains of separation by accepting the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam according to their own intelligence. And even though I do not understand the mystery of Bhagavatam itself myself, still I have experienced the wonders of this great literature. It's said that then Uddhava took the gopis to Kusum Sarovar, which we visited at the very beginning of this Govardhana Parikrama, and for 1 month, Uddhava taught them the same teachings as we find in Srimad Bhagavatam, and their anxiety was pacified. So Kalindi was right. And one by one, as they were hearing the message of the Bhagavatam, they returned to their spiritual position in the spiritual realm, just by this wonderful gift given by Uddhava, which took place here at Uddhava Kund. You see in the image, the Kund itself. Of course, there's different seasons and different times of the year. It looks a little different, but it's the same place, transcendental place. Here's from the rooftop, looking down. Look across by the skyline, and what do you see? Kusum Sarovar. And here's the back area with devotees taking a little break from their parikrama and chanting japa and reading and enjoying sadhu sangha together. Very nice place. And the person that's in charge of this place, we'll see his photo in a moment. This is when rainy season, the water is really high at this time, and everything in the back, it's very lush and green. Rainy season, especially in Vrindavan. There's the back side of Kusum Sarovar, very close to Uddhava Kund. And there he is, Giriraj Sharma. Those of you that have been to the Uddhava temple, you'll recognize his happy, smiling face. Usually he's wearing a turban, but he's very friendly. He says that when he was a little boy, he met Prabhupada because Prabhupada was taking the ISKCON devotees on Parikrama around Govardhana Hill, and he met him as a small boy and remembers that experience. At least he speaks that way. Here's the deity of Radha Uddhava Vihari. This is a new set of deities on a new altar, and the old set of deities are pictured here. This is the same name, Uddhava Vihari, Radha Uddhava Vihari. And here's Uddhava himself on a third altar, very nicely decorated and dressed and ornamented in nice flowers. And Govardhana Shila also on the altar. And another Govardhana Shila with very interesting features. So nice worship, wonderful place to visit and offer prayers to Uddhava, that we may also get that opportunity to be in the eternal association of Radha and Krishna by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and by his mercy because he had the capacity to deliver that to others. So now you see the red line. We passed Uddhava Kund, and we're getting to those to the far right. There's a square and not exactly square Kund, that's Radha Kund, Shama Kund. The square one is Radha Kund, the not so square one is Shama Kund. And we're going to enter into that vicinity. We'll go back just a sec. You see that black line that crosses from upper right down to the bottom? That's a canal. It's an irrigation canal all the way from the river Jamuna, used for agriculture. And here's the canal that we cross before we get to Radha Kund and Shama Kund village. There's an aerial photograph of Radha Kund, Shama Kund, their actual shape. Over to the left, that's agricultural field where it's taking advantage of the water from the canal. And you see that building that's blue. We'll see that again many times because it's painted differently at different times of the year. And that reddish colored dividing structure between Radha Kund and Shama Kund is called the Sangam. It connects the two. We'll see that several times. So when we enter, it's going to be in, from our aerial picture, it's going to be the upper right corner of Radha Kund. So there we are. We're going to visit these three places. Gaur Kishore's Bhajan Kutir, before he went to Mayapur and got the association of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and gave Diksha to Sanatan Bhaktisiddhanta. He had a bhajan kutir here. This is a Gaudiya Math temple. And here is his bhajan kutir memorial. And the deities in this place are Radha, Kunja Bihari. And you'll recognize it's winter time because they're really bundled up. And the Gaudiya pujaris have a similar style of winter garments for their deities. Knitted, wool, colorful, very similar style. So, of course, Gauranga Mahaprabhu by the side of Radha Kunja Bihari. And continuing, we're going to next, as you see the red line, enter into Radhakund area directly. Here's another image from a different time of the year. More agriculture at the upper end. And that's the shape of Radhakund and Shyamakund. If you look on the left side of Radhakund, that's where Janava's sitting place is. We'll get a closer look at that as we go along. And we're nearing the conclusion of this Govardhana Parikrama, and I am contemplating already sometime in the future, we'll have a detailed visit to places around Radhakund, Shyamakund. There's maybe 30 of them, and it takes a while. It'll probably take 3 sessions or 4 sessions to do it all. Here's an artist's illustration of the 2 kunds, showing Radha and Krishna at the center, of course, and the principal gopis surrounding them, and the different places where they perform their pastimes together. This is one of the first darshans that you get. We saw that from the aerial image, where there's Radhakund right before us. You see that blue building across the way. Now we're looking, direct center of the photograph is the sitting place of Janava. You see the short green tree. That green tree is the place underneath which Janava would sit, because sometimes in the summer it becomes very hot. There's a little structure right by the tree, her bhajan kutir place, and that reddish colored cloth hanging over a railing that marks where it juts out into the Radhakund area. She was honored to have her own little private meditation japa place. The blue building behind her, or behind her sitting place, that's the backside of the Radha Gopinath temple. We'll tell a little bit more about the Radha Gopinath temple when we get there. Here's some verses from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur about these 2 kunds. Radhakund and Shyamakund are Govardhan's 2 love-filled eyes. They are 2 great floods of the nectar of beauty. They are 2 great oceans of splendor. They are 2 beautiful roots from which sweet devotional service grows. On the back side, that's in the blue structure, the archway-looking structure. That's part of the Sangam. There's passageway between the 2 Sangams where water can flow. When the water is lower, you can see where those openings are. They are 2 jewel mines of love. They are 2 seeds from which grow the jewel vines of transcendental pastimes. How did they become 2 splendid and nectar-sweet lakes? By seeing these 2 lakes, Radha and Krishna believe they are present in them. It is as if they directly see each other there. The wise say that by approaching these lakes, one directly approaches Radha and Krishna. I think that when Radha saw Krishna, she melted with ecstasy and thus assumed the liquid state of the waters of Radhakund. And in the same way, when Krishna saw Radha, he also melted in ecstasy and became the waters of Shamakund. In this way, these two lakes bear the names and qualities of the divine couple. Of course, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has a very detailed explanation of a Leela by which these two places were formed. There's a closer image of the Sangam, the structure where Radha and Krishna would sit and enjoy pastimes together is underneath that open structure, pinkish colored structure. And you can enter from the Parikrama path level by going down those stairs and coming onto the Sangam. And over in the corner, you'll see some pandas performing pujas for the local devotees or the visitors. Another beautiful image of the Sangam. This is from a rooftop from where one of the devotees lives, and you can look over in the distance and see Radhakund and Shamakund. Very nice. Pilgrims come from all over and offer their prayers to Radharani at Radhakund and to Krishna at Shamakund. Very popular is bathing in Radhakund, to be sure. Here's one lady offering prayers from a book, and who knows how long she's standing there reciting. But with deep devotion, we can be sure. There's one of the local pandas, one of Bhakti Chaitanya Swami's friends, who assists groups that he conducts going around Radhakund. Very accomplished, very enthusiastic. It's actually a good idea to have one accompany you because otherwise you get harassed. If you find the right one, if you know the right one, then you get the others leave you alone. And if you don't have, someone will harass you. That's just a tip if you go to visit Radhakund sometime. The local devotees enjoy chanting the holy name by the side of Radhakund. And here's some do-it-yourself puja. The two ladies and the one man arranging a puja for Radhakund. And to our left or to their right is a panda with his up to his ankles with Radhakund water, arranging a puja for another set of people. Same for this sadhu. He's not a panda, he's having a panda arrange his puja. And then the remnants of their pujas left to the side. In the marketplace, kunkum and many other articles. If you're running out of bangles, you know where to go to get more bangles. And monkeys, be careful when you're with the monkeys, although they're very small, they can be, aggressive. And a local parrot. And the sweet shops. And the birds, they know what to do when they find the sweet shop. We find many widows who at the later stages of their life, they enjoy coming to Radhakund, living very, very simply and happily chanting the holy name as much as they can until their parting days. This is the Parikrama path. It's an average day, not too crowded, not too thin, just kind of an average day, any day of the year. Govardhana, Radhakund is a very popular place for persons to come and receive purification. So these are the 8 places that we're going to visit. And we're already 1 hour into our discussion, so I'm going to try to move quickly, although it's tempting to not do so. One of the first places we're going to visit is the Radha Gopinath temple. As I said, we can have 30 markers, but we're only going to visit 8. The Radha Gopinath deities are pictured here. Of course, these are not the original Radha Gopinath. The original Radha Gopinath are now in Jaipur. But the Gopinath deity was established by Janava. It's said when she first went to this area, it wasn't developed like it is today, but she immediately said, this is Gopinath's temple. Build a temple for him. And her saying so was sufficient, because it is said she is, so the deities pictured are Radha Gopinath, of course, Radha on Krishna's left side, and on Krishna's right side is Ananga Manjari. And Ananga Manjari is the younger sister of Radharani, and it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, based upon Gaura Gunadesh Dipika, that she is Ananga Manjari. Janava is Ananga Manjari in Krishna Lila. Now, elsewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it also says that Gopal Bhatta Goswami is Ananga Manjari, so I don't know how those two work out. But she's very intimately connected to Gopinath, naturally so. It says here on the screen, Pratibhu Murtis. Pratibhu means their replacement. And that's the case for all these deities that are here at Radhakund that we're going to visit. There's a close-up of the very beautiful form of Radha Gopinath. And the next place we're going to visit is Raghunath Das Goswami's temple, his samadhi. This is when he left his body. He stayed here for a long, long time and chanted and chanted and chanted. From the time of his departure, that's where the 24-hour kirtan began, surrounding his samadhi. It's in the same structure, same hall. So from where the photographer is standing, that's the hall, the kirtan hall. The opposite side, directly opposite side, is the Gopinath deity, and on this side is his samadhi. Here's the samadhi inside, and the picture shown is a celebrated pastime that took place where Raghunath Das was chanting japa by the side of Radhakund. So absorbed in chanting, he didn't even notice that two tigers came to drink water from Radhakund. But Sanatana Goswami was observing in the background. Super Soul protected him. So Raghunath Das Goswami's samadhi. Next, number 3, you see on your screen here, we're going to Radha Govinda temple. Now there's the Govinda Ji deity was from Vrindavan, but from time to time, Rupa Goswami would stay here, and the deity of Govinda Ji was established. This is not the original. Original is in Jaipur, but the Pratibhu deity, very nicely taken care of, as you can see. Different dresses on different days. Very nicely kept deity. And friendly pujaris who are very welcoming of devotees, having kirtan and darshan and whatever they like. And a nice Govardhana Shila by the main altar. Now, just outside the main temple is what's known as the tongue of Govardhana. There's the tongue of Govardhana pictured many years ago. Here's even before they placed eyes and other decorations. That's what it looked like. Of course, that was maybe 20 years ago. Maybe more than that now, that I first saw. But this is the tongue of Govardhana. If you look carefully, running from the top center down the front center, there's a mark on the deity, and that's the mark of the shovel or the spade that resulted in the tongue of Govardhana being found. Now, the the mouth of Govardhana is at Manasi Ganga, and the tongue is over here. So don't ask me how the tongue is here and the mouth is there. But what happened was, when Raghunath Das Goswami received a large donation from someone, but he's a total renowned person, he requested that someone under his direction to excavate Radhakund Shamakund, because during his time, it was just a very small place. So what we see today is the result of so many years ago, 450, whatever it is, years ago, of Raghunath Das Goswami's excavation of Radhakund Shamakund. And when they were digging the foundation for the Shamakund Radhakund, one of the workers with his shovel, he hit a rock. And much to his astonishment, the rock started to bleed. And he was very scared. So immediately went and told Raghunath, who said, stop, just remove that Shila immediately. And that evening, Govardhan personified, we don't know what that Govardhan personified looked like, Hari Dev, we would guess, but whatever the form, and formed Raghunath that rock that was bleeding was my tongue. Place this rock nearby a temple and worship nicely. So that's what this is, the tongue of Govardhan. And look closely, you can see a little better, it's a little closer photography. The mark of the shovel that hit the rock. Now here's where the tongue of Govardhan is nicely decorated. And even today, sometimes they make the deity look like this and decorate especially very nicely during the Kartik month. So that's the Radha Govinda temple number 3. And now we're going to move on to the Jagannath temple number 4. In the Jagannath temple number 4, this is the outside, quite simple outside. And here's the Jagannath deities inside. Very large Jagannath deities with a Shila at their feet. And now we're going to move along to, we're moving quickly. I hope you notice we're moving quickly. We would spend more time at these places and tell a little story, but not going to because of time. Jiva Goswami's Damodar, Radha Damodar temple, number 5. It's quite close to Shamakund. Here's the entrance, and inside here's the Kirtan hall, and the temple is down at the far end. And here's the Bhajan Kutir of Jiva Goswami, where he would stay when he was staying at Radhakund. And there on the altar, there's deities of Radha Damodar. Of course, the original Radha Damodar are in Jaipur, but these are very nice deities, nicely worshipped. Radha Damodar and the Shila at their feet. And the backside, this is Shamakund, irregularly shaped Shamakund. And now we're going to go to number 6, Lalita Kund. There used to be kunds for all the Ashtasakis. The only one that's remaining today is Lalita Kund. And it's a very nice place, very sacred place, very much revered by the local devotees. And here's the divide. Recently, one of the ISKCON devotees made this nice painting that you see to mark the spot. And then a nice lotus fountain in the middle of Lalita Kund to keep the water aerated. And there she is, Lalita Devi. And all around, if you need japa beads, a nice place to get japa beads is Radhakund. There's many, many of these, bigger display of beads than you see here. It's a good idea if you don't let on that you're a Hare Krishna devotee, because the price doubles. Money from the West, and all of a sudden the price changes. So it's nice to have beads from a nice place like this. And do it smart when you go there. The different varieties and styles. It says Sri Ram instead of Hare Krishna, but that's okay. We're going to now go to the sitting place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's way on the other side of Shamakund. And then the Madan Mohan Temple, number 8. So this is the Sangam again. And going up the Sangam, we come to the sitting place of Mahaprabhu. At least it is said when he discovered Radhakund, this is where he sat and performed his japa. This is his sitting place, it is said. And very nice place. Now, next is where Sanatan Goswami had his bhajan kutir by the side of Radhakund. Obviously, he had his bhajan kutir at Manasi Ganga. We visited there. But this is another place where he had spent time. And inside, that's his sitting place where he would chant his japa very nicely. And the Madan Mohan deity. Nice stories of past times. Because of our time constraint, we'll save that for our Radha Kund, Shamakund tour. Nice stories. There he is, Madan Mohan. And a close-up. And Shalagram Shilas as well. There's our Sangam picture again. And there's the sitting place of Janava. You see that trees, a different time of the year. There's less greenery on the tree. That small white structure that was built for her. And just behind, as mentioned, that's where the Gopinath temple. So you have to get to this place through the Gopinath temple. There's a little doorway, and you can go out to Janava's sitting place. Lord Chaitanya said, of all the gopis, Radharani is the dearmost. Similarly, the lake known as Radhakund is very dear to the Lord because it is very dear to Srimati Radharani. Just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Lord Krishna, so her lake, known as Radhakund, is also very dear to him. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most beloved. Now you notice in the wall, the Sangam wall, there's perforations in the dividing wall. That's where water can flow between the two kunds. There's again another picture of the Sangam. In that lake, Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani used to sport daily in the water and have rasa dance on the bank. So there's another place for rasa dance, for those of you that wanted to know where. Indeed, Lord Krishna gives ecstatic love like that of Srimati Radharani to whoever bathes in that lake even once in his life. The attraction of Radhakund is as sweet as that of Srimati Radharani. Similarly, the glories of the Kund are as great as Srimati Radharani's. Who within this world can describe the glories and sweetness of Sri Radhakund? And if you get the body of a turtle, you get to be immersed in the Radhakund your whole lifetime. But better to become a devotee and chant Hare Krishna and go back to Godhead that way. Then you can help other people too. So that's it for visiting of Radhakund, Shamakund. Following that red line, we're going to now depart and make our way back to Kusum Sarovar. That's number 3. And we're going to start at Radhakund, and we're going to pass by the Yugal Sarup Temple, number 2. You see on the image on your screen. We pass again one more time, as we did short while ago, the canal. And as we make our way along, here's another local devotee doing his Dandavats Parikrama. We don't see Jayapataka Maharaj's picture here, but there's lots of people who are doing Dandavats Parikrama. It's a very, very common sight. I know Brajabihari did Dandavat's Parikrama around the village of Vrindavan, not around Govardhan Hill. And it took him, he spent several hours each day. He had knee pads, one rock, and it was very purifying from his own testimony. So here's an aerial photograph of the Radha Kanta Yugal Sarup Temple. And we're going to take a visit. Here's what it looks like from the outside. Those that have done Govardhana Parikrama will recognize the structure. You may not have gone inside, but let's go inside. And sure enough, there's the Pujari. And I've not met him, but this is a Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj photo. And when he spoke with him, he found out he is a Bhakti Chaitanya Swami disciple. And he was very friendly and treated them very nicely. And Radha Kanta Yugal Sarup deities. And that's pretty much our visit, because we've already covered Kusum Sarovar, number 3. And behind Kusum Sarovar, the structure and all these other buildings and places. So we have now completed our Govardhana Parikrama, compliments of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, who has given us the bhakti process to even, at least for me for sure, to even know of Vrindavan, what to speak of Govardhan, what to speak of all these places, what to speak of the pastimes of Krishna with his devotees. So we're deeply indebted to our founder Acharya. All gratitude goes to him, and may your life be enriched by hearing the glories of Govardhan. Haridas Varya, the best of all devotees, ready to give. If you're a follower of Rupa Goswami, you'll know that Govardhan is ready to give the fulfillment of all your spiritual desires. So hopefully you can let go of some of the material ones so you can gather up some of the spiritual desires' fruits. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. So let's see if on our attendees that joined this discussion, if there's some comments or questions. And who is our MC? Parikrama, you're the MC?
No, Maharaj.
Jai Satyananda, you're the MC. You want to call on people, or how are you going to do this?
We can do both ways. I can read off chat questions, or would you like for them to speak it personally?
You orchestrate whatever you feel is best.
Okay. Radhakund Mataji, would you like to start? You had several questions.
So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Dhanyavad Pranam Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful that you have taken us this virtual yatra, but literally you took us to Govardhan. We are experiencing that with our minds completely absorbed in that. So I have a few questions, Maharaj. The first question is like Yudhava, upon the instruction of Lord Krishna, he went to Padarikashrama, right? So when does this pastime happen at Uddhava Kunda, Uddhava becoming Gulmalata, and when the 16,000 queens are dancing and glorifying the Lord, then he appeared again and taught them Bhagavatam. So is it so after Badarikashrama story, what happened, and when did he leave his body and he became Gulmalata? And
Yes.
So he left his body after.
Krishna left, Uddhava left, he became a blade of grass. The queens came to visit. It doesn't give the chronology. I mean, I understand your question, but it doesn't give the chronology when he left his body and when he became a blade of grass.
Okay, Maharaj. Then I have 2 more questions. Can I ask?
Yeah.
So Maharaj, actually you were mentioning that Jiva Goswami's Radha Damodar deities are original deities, But as long as I heard, Radha Madan Mohan and Radha Govinchi and Radha Gopinath went to Jaipur, but Radha Damodar deities are the original deities given by Rupa Goswami to Jiva Goswami. So are they not original? Who are original deities in Vrindavan?
The Radha Damodar Swami, the Radha Damodar deities given by Rupa to Jiva are now in Jaipur.
So the deities in Vrindavan are not original deities, right?
They're Pratibhu deities. The original are in Jaipur.
So thank you, Maharaj. And another question is like you are mentioning about Janva. There is a sitting place for Janva near Radhakund. So Janva means, is that the same Lord Nityananda Prabhu's wife or?
Same.
So you were mentioning one of your lectures that Jahnavi, when she was chanting, she could be able to see Radha Krishna sitting on the throne on the bridge of Radhakund. So same Jahnavi.
It's Janava.
So
Janava. Yeah, she was able to, she was envisioning pastimes of Radha and Krishna on a bridge spanning over Radhakund, which you and I cannot see, but she could.
That was very nice. So thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Radhakund Mataji. So next, Maharaj is Narottama Das Prabhu. He's the one who's been facilitating this Zoom link. So Narottama Das Prabhu, would you like to go ahead and speak or ask your question?
Thank you so much for the wonderful tour which have taken us to through Govardhana. My question is, Maharaj, you gave example of Srimad Bhagavad Mahatmya from Padma Puran, which is written in, so to say, chronologically before Srimad Bhagavatam. So how do we understand the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam in Padma Puran and other Puranas, even though they were written before Srimad Bhagavatam, at the end, Srila Vasudeva wrote it. So how do we understand? Because some people ask questions, how is it possible for them to write, for Srila Vasudeva to write the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam before actually wrote Srimad Bhagavatam?
I understand your question. I don't have the answer.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
Other than saying, Vyasa Sri Kalagya and Vyas knew what would happen before it happened, that's the only answer I can consider. But I don't have, anything other than that to say. Besides, I don't know.
Thanks so much.
As FYI, Maharaj has kindly made available the PowerPoint presentation of the Govardhanashtakam, and Narottama Das Prabhu has pasted it in the chat box. You all are, Maharaj is kindly extending this towards all of you, and you can download it. It's a Dropbox folder, so please take advantage of that. Are there other questions?
I think Paramkar Prabhu has his hand raised.
Paramkar Prabhu, would you like to just go ahead and speak it, since there's posted?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Maharaj, thank you so much. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the wonderful Parikrama of Govardhana, and I'm really looking forward to the Radhakunda Parikrama. Thank you so much. I was, when you were beginning to speak that sentence in the previous class, I think in the morning, I was just hoping you would say Radhakunda, and you said that. And I remember hearing your Radhakunda Parikrama from many, many years ago. It was audio only. I think you gave a 3-part seminar in St. Louis, if I can remember correctly, or somewhere. But I heard the audio recording, but now with video and pictures, I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Visuals are part of my growing up, as a new devotee in the Hare Krishna movement. By nature, I think that I have some visual aptitude. So pictures are memorable. There's some explanation behind that, how that developed, but It takes a lot of time to put these together. I gave a number to Jai Sachinanda, and it grew to something like 940 slides. So it's a labor of love. It's nice to share with the no, maybe 50%, something maybe a little less. Photos came, or the images came directly from Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, because we have spent several times we've done Govardhana Parikrama together with groups, and he's very kind to me, so he gave many slides. But it's a lot of just personalizing what I received and so forth, and adding a lot. So, but it's nice to not just hear, but also see, and then what to speak of, go in person and have your lotus feet touch the dust of Vrindavan, and place your head in the dust of Vrindavan and your whole body in the dust of Vrindavan. And you can't replace that by sound.
So
Thank
on
you
that
so much.
matter, I just posted into the chat window. There's a wonderful website that that you all can participate in, www.romapadswamiyatras.com. As you know, in the past, when Maharaj comes during winter time, because it happens to occur after Yatra, there's a USB drive that's available for a small donation, and therefore you can we can virtually participate in that Yatra. And so devotees have been expressing their appreciation for this Govardhana Yatra. And so if you go to that website, you can subscribe for a small donation. I think it's $108 for 1 year. And you can basically get a distraction-free means of participating in these incredible series of lectures like the Putana Lila, etc., Dandaka Yatra, and you can access it via phone or computer, and also keep track of the lessons as they're going on in the completion of the course. So there are many advantages. It's rich with content, made for accessibility in this busy time where everybody's doing a lot of stuff virtually. So it's really respectful of your time and efficient. So please consider to avail yourself of this opportunity to get into this website. It's $100 for 1 year subscription, but you can also pick and choose what lessons or what topics you want to hear about for a smaller amount. So the link is there and you can see it. Please take advantage of it. So Maharaj, does anybody else have any other questions or comments, reflections?
We have some local ones if you want to hear it. Otherwise, we can just do our local ones, and you could all go have lunch or something.
I had, can I ask you elaboration question?
Yeah, sure.
Or I can wait until after the locals too.
No, go ahead. Here, this is for the Portland community.
They're not so much questions, but maybe impetus for elaboration, if you so desire. I found several statements very deep and applicable for one's devotional life. One comment you made that I was hoping or thinking you may elaborate on, although it's very self-sufficient, is you made the comment, Holy Dham is pure and purifying. And I was wondering whether you could extend for enrichment of my bhakti by commenting on that statement.
Each of us, in differing degrees, where conditioned souls were covered and contaminated by illusion. And that's a problem. So how do we to free ourselves from that condition? And that's to come in contact. It's very simple. You come in contact with the Supreme Pure, and you become pure or purified. So Krishna is the Supreme Pure, and contact is purifying. It's just, it's the connection. He exists, but we have to make the connection with Krishna. And same, the visiting the holy Dham. It's supremely pure, but there are lots of people that visit or even reside there that are less inclined to purification than they are to something else, trying to be enjoyers in this way or that way. That mistake can be made also in the holy Dham. Even if that mistake is made, it's still purifying. So we the visitors to the Dham, or take anything, the Bhagavatam or the deity form or the holy name or anything that's Krishna, it's pure, and our regard will make it more purifying or less purifying depending upon our regard or our attitude, our faith in that which we're interacting with, the name, the deity, the scripture, or the holy Dham, or the devotees. Those five are five very, very special, potent agents of purification. So that's what I meant.
As soon as you said that, it resonated with me that immediately that's the nature of the holy name.
Yes.
And then extension to all the different limbs of bhakti.
Yes.
And also something very profound that I've heard you say, specifically when you talk about the 10 offenses, we mistake the spiritual for the material. And that conception affects us. So
that's the essence of offense.
Yes. Second comment that you made that I really appreciated when you were glorifying Haridas Varya, Sri Govardhana, you were saying, servant of Hari provides items that Hari requires without Hari even requesting.
Yes.
Thus, Krishna in the form of Govardhan Hill shows us how to serve him. And I thought that's such a wonderful example of how to be a sincere servant of the Lord. Requires a Paramatma channel.
Yes.
Like
and maturity, leaving aside the mix and just focusing on the Krishna in the center. And when that focus is there, then the anticipation of the served is natural.
Yeah.
It flows naturally.
Yes. And then I was contemplating when there was this discussion of left wing, right wing, something very nice that I was reading in His Holiness Shivram Swami's book, Krishna Sangati. He talks about how this idea of separation and reunion and how it drives the rasas that exist for the various devotees. And something really wonderful that he was writing, which was coming from Rupa Goswami, was that when you think about it, physically, there's not a huge distance between Vrindavan and Mathura. But when Krishna leaves from Mathura, it seems like the end of the world for the Vrindavan Vasis. And he was making the point, upon the statements of Sri Rupa Goswami, that there are two reasons, and I was hoping you will add to this, that there are two reasons. One is that the Dham Vasis are the Vasis, residents of that particular Dham, because they're cultivating a particular mood of relationship that they want with Krishna.
Mm.
And the second reason is it gives them, that mood gives them an appreciation for that particular Dham. And lets them go deeper into that mood of that Dham. So would you like to comment? That was just something that hit my mind when some people were saying, I want to be in the right wing, somebody, I want to be in the left wing, etc. It's like, okay, how does that help my devotional service? So,
Well, I was thinking some more about that question also. And the way that she worded the question was, as an aspiring Raganuga Bhaktin, or Vaishnavi, now there may be some right-wing Raganuga Bhaktas or Bhaktins, and they model themselves, they aspire to become like Chandravali or her associates, because that gives pleasure. It adds to the pleasure of Krishna's being with the left-wing gopis, because there's the challenge from the right-wing gopis. It adds to the pleasure of Krishna. One can be, in other words, one can be a Raganuga Bhakta, following the example of Chandravali is also a Ragatmika devotee. It follows. I mean, logically. Now, whether a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to be a follower of Chandravali or not is another thing. But as far as, so whether you're Rupanuga is or not is one thing. But Raganuga is, you follow the Ragatmikas. If you become so elevated and qualified. So it has everything to do with your hankering or aspiration or sankalpa to achieve what? And we have to have the quality. We have to have the adhikar. We have to have the quality to have the proper hankering. In other words, I may have the hankering for something that's just like silly, because I don't have the qualification for that hankering. So it can be very, very remote, but my action should be commensurate with my qualification. And my hankering should be commensurate with my qualification, although the other may be very, very far. And so that, yes, the abode, the place where Krishna is, or the Brijbasis are, is a very special place. And to hanker for the mood means to hanker for the place, because that's where that mood is. Like for example, when when a really nice section is when Akrura is coming to visit Krishna and invite Krishna to come to the festival in Mathura. He knows his place, and he has some idea of the place of the Brijbasis, and he is honoring the Brijbasis because they have a qualification that he doesn't have, but he knows his place. He's not envious or jealous or anything like that. He is just honoring the exalted position of the Brijbasis. And when he gets back to Mathura with Krishna, and Krishna visits him after killing Kamsa, they have this wonderful discussion, and it's the same thing. He doesn't feel qualified. He doesn't have the adhikar to be a Brijbasi. He's not envious towards the Brijbasis. He is where he is. He's in Mathura. Then later he goes to Dwarka, because he is where he is because of his mood of attraction for Krishna, while honoring at the same time those who he understands are more exalted than he is. He's not, I want to switch horses and become that one. So he's happy where he is because it's his nature. It's his service to Krishna. So we're in this very dynamic position as sadhakas, just learning the ropes or learning the ways of sadhana bhakti. And if we're effective and sincere in our sadhana bhakti, then all the rest of what comes in the more mature stage is waiting for us. And so the question specifically is the mood of love that we carry towards Krishna in our service is certainly to be compatible with the place where that mood of love is abundantly found. So our hankering for being connected with Vrindavan and the Brijbasis goes along with whatever the natural, not artificial or imposed, superimposed kind of mood, because, well, that's the highest one, so let's go for the highest one. But that which is actually our adhikar, our natural quality, that, we got a long way to go to become mature devotees. So don't imitate. Become genuine devotees at each step, and Krishna will place you in the proper place as you move along.
Thank you. Thank you for elaborating and clarifying. I think you were going to take questions from the local devotees in Chicago.
We're at 1 hour and 40 minutes into this class. And I'm okay with a little bit, but I think we'll need to close after about 10, 15 minutes. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much. It was very wonderful yatra. I felt like actually we were literally there in the way he explained. So it was like walking and all. So only thing we did not walk.
Yeah.
So, some places even I said that, we were walking, you are showing the path and all. So it was very inspiring to me. So, generally when I remember Govardhana, I remember two things. One is about Krishna lifting the Govardhana hill. And the second thing, how Govardhana helped him in so many ways. But I think you, give a lot of more details to remember Govardhana. So many other things that he facilitated. So those are the two comments, Maharaj. One quick question about first class. When you talked about the appearance of Govardhan, Pulastya Muni and all. So that chronologically when that happened, is that much before Krishna's appearance?
Oh yeah, long before. Yours is a chronology question.
Yeah, so
long before. But Krishna's time and Earth time are quite different. But we can still say long before. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Speak, I'm listening.
Please ask me humble obeisances, all Lord Shri Prabhupada and Gurudev. I've been reading the third canto, where the conversation between Vidura meeting Uddhava.
Yes.
Vidura was going through pilgrimage.
Yes.
And Uddhava recommends to meet Maitreya and all that.
Yes.
And just this past week, and then this whole weekend was talking about we were going through this Parikrama. So it was very timely for me, because I've learned the importance of the pilgrimage, what are the benefits, how the holy name is being, a person remembers the holy name as soon as they enter into the holy dham. This weekend was very timely, and it helped me to connect with that first four chapters of third canto. And the qualities of Uddhava was very, they were really, how he was very, he was chosen to be the representative of Krishna. And he chose, Krishna chose Uddhava to go to Vrindavan and pacify the inhabitants. And he chose Uddhava to pacify the queens of Dwaraka also. That was very, very, because he did not choose anybody else. So that means we have to learn so much from Uddhava's life.
Yeah.
I have a question where why the queens had to take so much time? Because they had this personal association with Krishna. They were very, very intimately associated with Krishna, right? He's their husband, right? And then Yadus went left this world in a different way, and queens had to be separated, and then they had to wait for certain time, and then take the instruction from Uddhava. So what is the lesson for us from here, like in other than Srimad Bhagavatam?
Well, Utsahan Nishchaya Daryat, that's the lesson.
So Queen Kalindi is the ideal attitude that we should be.
But you're, the queens are, there's many queens. So your question was, what's the lesson?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer is, we have to be, while being enthusiastic, we also have to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
And what sustains patience is being very determined, having faith and being very determined.
Oh.
That's the lesson. That this is a practical application of those teachings of Rupa Goswami from Nectar of Instruction. That's the lesson embedded within the message. Now, when the time was right, the question was asked. And when the question was asked, Kalindi had the answer. And when the answer was given, they were prepared to act. They didn't dilly-dally. They immediately
acted on it.
And they got the answer. So the lesson is, answers are ready for us when we're ready. But enthusiasm, patience, and firm determination. Okay? You have something? Come pick up the microphone. Just slide the whole thing over to her. We're doing our protocol for sanitizing the microphone. That's what's going on over here. Jai Sachinanda, I think you'd be pleased with us to know every time the microphone is being passed, it's being sanitized.
It's wonderful and safe.
Yeah, I thought you'd be pleased. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. I was hearing the classes, and it so happened that I went to Vrindavan before, not in the yatra, but as an individual family visit. And I'm sure I committed offenses there. Maybe because lack of knowledge. When somebody showed me Chirghat and somebody showed me the Radha Kund, there were a lot of things going on, like where your attention goes right into those rather than looking at the importance of the place. So when I saw that, I felt that this doesn't look like Chirghat, where Krishna performed these activities. Maybe like somebody made up this story or something like that. Or when I went to Radha Kund, people were not, keeping it clean and all those things. Definitely I committed offenses. So how do we, what can be done? What can be done right now after realizing the importance of it?
What can be done after hearing the importance of it?
Yeah.
When you visit the Holy Dham, it's best to be in association of somebody who understands the mood and the message that goes along with being in the Holy Dham. Have a guide and have association of somebody who knows. Because there's always going to be, even in a sacred place, there's going to be other people with other intentions besides pure intentions. It's one of the questions that was asked in an earlier class about how do we get anyway. Be in what the lesson is, be in the association of wholesome people that understand the mood of Vrindavan and can help you experience that mood of Vrindavan. Vrindavan by nature is a purifying place, and the purification is not always comfortable. Purification is sometimes uncomfortable. Apparently. Doesn't feel like, hey, that's what I thought purification was going to be. Thought it was going to be yummy, and now it's like bumpy. So be in good association. I think that's the main. Be in good association next time you visit, any future times you visit, until you become well acquainted with the Holy Dham. And then you don't abandon good association, but you're an example that Prabhupada has given is when you have a young plant or a young tree or something, you put up a fence around it, so that critters don't come and make a mess. But once it's strong and stout and mature, then you can take the fence down. So be in the Dham in good association. At least one person, if not a group of persons, that are well acquainted and mature and wholesome.
But what about the anarthas?
What has happened from the past? That's your question?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't understand that was your question.
Yes.
What do you do about past mistakes?
Mistakes.
That's your question. You bear the consequences and go forward with the bhakti path. Offenses you can't undo them, but you can go forward with the bhakti process in the proper manner. I'm sorry, I didn't understand the nature of your question. Okay, we'll take one more question. How are we doing? Yeah, online, and then we're going to end. Just one. You okay?
So this is from Ruchira Mataji. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for this amazing virtual Govardhana Parikrama. I have a curiosity question. It seems like every pastime and personality in Vrindavan has an associated kund. Any history or reason behind that, Maharaj?
It's not that every personality in Vrindavan has an associated personal kund. How kunds are made, I'm not sure that the sequence or the history of how it happens. But for us, we have bathrooms with showers and tubs and things like that. And for those that don't have that running water facility, they have this other facility. That's, the bodies of water and so forth. And that's it's a very seat of the pants kind of a suggestion, but it has to do with why there's different kunds with different names. It's, that's the facility that people have for bathing and doing with water, things that you do with water. Now, we saw some images of ladies gathering water from a well because it was fresh water. But supposing there isn't fresh water, then what do? Because before there's a well, like in Raval, there was there's a group of devotees in Vrindavan that they gathered together and they created a freshwater well. They did a lot of testing, but there was, who knows how many centuries went by with no fresh water. So if you don't have fresh water from a freshwater well, what do? Go to a kund, and you name the kund after somebody. Just like you name a street after somebody. Where do all the street names come from? It's somebody. Often, not always. It can be Chestnut Street but it's just how things unfolded. When there's need for water, they make a kund, and they can call it, like Kusum Sarovar. The history that is a little bit known is it was a lake. And after such a long period of time, somebody made it a formal bathing place and gave it a name, Kusum Sarovar. And then after Kusum Sarovar was made, somebody came along and made the memorial part and expanded the Sarovar and continued with the same name, Kusum Sarovar. It's not named after a person, but it's for the purposes of lakes in a place where there's no running water. That's maybe not a good answer, but that's what I can understand from the question. So, Jai Sachinandan, I'd like to wrap up, if that's okay.
Sure. I'd like to thank you for all of your effort to extend yourself so much. We're only seeing the end result. We're not seeing all the energy and time it took to put this together.
It took a lot of time to put it together.
I wanted to, the rest of our group can continue with this program while you have to exit. I wanted to extend to you a nice appreciation that a senior devotee told me last week about you. I was talking to His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, and he was saying that he always finds it amazing how you extend yourself so continuously and consistently over the years, answering so many questions from devotees, both on the digital as well as personal format, like these kind of programs. And he was very amazed at how you've been doing that continuously for so many years. So thank you for extending yourself so much to us. And we look forward to the next one.
I have another class in 2 hours.
There it goes. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. All glories to your service. For the rest of the devotees here at ISKCON Hillsborough, once Maharaj leaves, we can, there are two very nice devotees, Sandli and William, who've been patiently waiting to lead Kirtan. You know, we ran behind. So I think if you can all stay to honor their commitment, if your services allow, then maybe Narottam Vilas Prabhu can show the temple. And, Sandli is going to sing the main Kirtan. And Sandli, maybe you can do like 10 minutes if that's okay, given it's 1:25 and maybe devotees want to have prasadam. And then William, you can do the nursing of their prayer, if that's okay with both of you. Now, please note the chat box. The Dropbox connection is the one that Maharaj created. If you want to download the Govardhana Ashtakam prayers and the song that goes with it. And on the bottom is the chat that I put in a website, romapadswamiyatras.com. It's fantastic. It's not just yatras. It's like the Putana Leela, the stealing of the cows, Govardhana Leela, all these very nicely organized into like sections, and you can track your progress in those sections too. So quite a lot of effort's been put into that from what I've seen. So please avail yourself for it. It's like $108 so for 1 year subscription. So that's really nothing for the immense amount of organized lectures it has on there. Any questions before we proceed to the kirtans? I hope you all enjoyed the 4-part seminar. It was really wonderful. So thank you all. If there's no questions, Sandli, would you like to sing? And Narottam Vilas Prabhu, thank you for facilitating this Zoom meeting, like all the Zoom meetings. Would you kindly show darshan at the temple?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it's actually Sandhani singing Aarti today.
Right, I said Sandhani. Did it come out Sandhani? I'm sorry, I said Sandhani. But you two are the same, right?
It looks like you're saying Sanvi Prabhuji. It is not Sandhini, it is Sandhini, S-A-N. So we are confusing. So Sanvi, it is.
Yeah, my Hindi is terrible. Everybody says I sound like some Britisher saying Hindi. So yeah, I've been looking at Sandhani's name, but I don't distinctly pronounce it. Forgive me.
No,
Sandhani.
it's nice actually.
Sandhani, would you like to add? I better stop while I'm ahead. Thank you.
For some reason, I'm not able to see video on the Mayapur TV.
Yeah.
I can hear audio, but I'm not able to see video. So I'm going to share the photo shared by Sudhana Pran Prabhu on the WhatsApp group.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Vasyatyaji Shatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Vasyatyaji Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Sachinandana Nitai Sachinandana Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Nitai Sachinandana Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. यज्ञ की
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय.
Thank you very much, Sandhani.
Hare Krishna.
I didn't mess it up again. Thank you. Thank you, Tirupati Prabhu and Shripata. I heard all of you. So
thank you, Prabhuji.
Next we'll have William Prabhu chant Nrsimhadev prayers. William, are you? I see you're on. Yep.
Yeah, hi, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Namaste Nairashimhaya. Namaste Nairashimhaya. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankarnakalaye Shilatankarnakalaye Ito Nrsimha Pairato Nrsimha Ito Nrsimha Pairato Nrsimha Yato Yato Yamita Yato Nrsimha Yato Yato Yamita Yato Nrsimha Ohe Nrsimha Hridaye Nrsimha Ohe Nrsimha Hridaye Nrsimha Madhim Sharanam Prapade Nrsimha Madhim Sharanam Prapade Tavakara Kamala Vaire Akam Adbhuta Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Anubhingha Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Kavakara Kamala Vaire Nakam Adbhuta Shingam Darita Hiranyakashipu Anubhingha Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Nrsimhadev 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 Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Shira Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Shira Gurudev. Jai Shri Narasimhadev Bhagwan ki Jai, Bhaktaraj Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai, Jagadguru Shri Prabhupada ki, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Jai. Sorry for the distraction in the background, everyone. I'm really sorry for that. But Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
The chanting of the holy name and the glories of Lord are not just meant for human beings, they're also meant for all jivas. So I'm glad that the jiva that's in the, I think it's a dog body, what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
is appreciating it too. So, wonderful. Okay, thank you all. Sorry about William and Sandini for pushing your lectures out so long, your kirtans out so long. I think you understand the situation today. So, okay, thank you all. See you all next week. Take care, stay safe. Hopefully we can gather very soon. Hare Krishna. Bye-bye. Narottam Vilas Prabhu, any announcements on your end or no?
No, Prabhu, nothing on my end, Prabhuji.
Okay. Take care. Okay, like I've been saying in the past couple of weeks, but very few devotees are taking us up on this. There's opportunity to sponsor deity outfits for Shishinitai Sachinandan. And for this coming year, in the past, we used to do this and there'd be an outpouring of devotees who would sponsor like their bracelets, their necklaces, their crowns, their slippers, their water pots, their outfits. And this year, we've only heard from one devotee family. So, how can we do that when Shishinitai Sachinandan are maintaining us through this pandemic and this craziness? So please consider sponsoring, if you have the means, any item for the deities. Nothing is too small, nothing's too big. You can contact me. I think you all know how to get a hold of me. So thank you. We have a very limited time in which to order these things because it takes time to make deity outfits. And if questions, just email me or text me. Thank you. Hare Krishna, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.